Good morning, YouTube. It is 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas, and we're doing another epoxy bowl project. Actually, we're just getting the marathon going. This is a project that I did back in March, early on in the marathon process. So I have done bowls like this similar. So we're going to take some blue, some orange, some red, put them in some different cups, and then we're going to mix them all together, get this cool marbling effect. But so many times on this channel, things don't go the way that I had planned, and you're about to see that. So getting everything mixed up using East Coast resin on this one, going to get this filled up. Problem is, here's a tip for any woodworkers out there. If you're going to do a 3-cup epoxy, make sure to have enough epoxy to where you don't have to mix it and everything else is set up, because the red one actually had been set up about 15 minutes before I did the orange and blue, and that's actually going to harden really fast, and it's gonna mess up this project a little bit. So getting everything nice and mixed up, really cool colors. You can see the blue, the orange, the red. Gonna pour that all in, and you can't see it here, but that red one in the back is actually smoking, and it's like 2,000 degrees, and I was like, oh my god, you saw a little bit of the smoke coming off there. So that was a complete waste. I didn't have time to mix up anything else, so I was like, all right, let's just cut our losses, put that in the pressure pot with some other projects that we had going on. So what you didn't see after I put it in the pressure pot, 4.5 hours later, I came back, added red after that initial pressure pot. So this had been in the pressure pot a total of 9 hours twice, well, 4.5 hours each time. So after I took it out the first time, I just went ahead and put some red on top of what had already hardened, and this is the final blank and what it looks like after everything was said and done. Real good color, translucent. Can't really see the real mixture of colors on there, just the way it's set up, but just like everything else on this channel, I say this all the time, I show failure. So don't be stingy with your hot glue. Get that piece of pine board on there so we can go ahead and attach the faceplate. Like I said earlier, this is part of the marathon project. So if you're not familiar with what's going on, March of 2022, I had an emergency work thing that I had to attend that was going to keep me out of the workshop for at least anywhere from 6 to 9 months. So trying to grow this YouTube channel, and I have put out a video every Sunday for like almost 2-3 years now, and I wanted to keep that going. Obviously, having to relocate for work momentarily, wasn't going to be able to come back home and do woodworking projects consistently. So what we ended up doing was doing a marathon for 2.5 weeks of getting, almost 20-ish projects done, somewhere around there. And it took forever. So this is early on in the marathon. You guys are probably watching this in the summer of 2022. Did this back in March. So once we got the faceplate on, got everything glued up, now we're just turning this down on the lathe itself, getting really good ribbons. You could tell by the actual blank itself that it turned out really well. I was really happy with the shavings that we were getting off. You can see there, getting really good material, working off a majority of that, getting everything sliced up real nice and neat. And this was early on when the garage wasn't messy. So the other bad thing about this kind of sorta is that if you've ever worked with epoxy or resin, you know that no matter how large or small the project is, it does make a mess once you turn it down onto the lathe. So I usually like to go back and clean everything up after I get everything to the way that I want it to, but in this case, didn't have the time to do it, so wasn't able to do so. So here we are a little bit later in the project. Obviously, we're getting the shavings down, getting everything nice, neat, and even. Excuse me, a little bit of a coughing spell there. Getting a lot of the material worked down the way that we want to. And the thing about the marathon projects, a lot of them are smaller projects, which I do apologize for. I have done larger projects, but just they're so time consuming. Unfortunately, we're just doing these smaller projects for the next 6 to 9 months, but we got them done. That's all that matters. So once we got everything into a nice cylindrical shape, now we're just going to go ahead and make the mortise using the small carbide tools here, just getting everything nice and even, getting everything nice and flush. Then we're just going to go ahead and size everything up, and going to go ahead and reverse it on the check, and then we'll size it up here in just a second or two. I don't know. This is actually the first time I'm watching this video after it had been edited, so I like to do these. If you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you know that I don't take the commentary too serious. I don't take this hobby very serious. I love doing it, but this is just a hobby. Like I said, this is not professional, so a lot of ad-lib here. So this is the first time I'm actually watching it too, so keep that in mind. This is not a professional woodworking channel. But got everything taken off, and now we're just going ahead, take the faceplate off. Everything's nice, neat, and even. And now we're just going to get that waste block taken down. This usually takes no time at all. You're just going in there with the large carbide tool, working down that material. The great thing about pine is that it's nice and soft, so it doesn't take a lot of effort to get that down. And this is actually one of my favorite parts here, is taking the square carbide tool and then just coming back, going back and forth, getting layer by layer. And then once you start to hit the hot glue, it makes these weird little spiral things that I think are neat. So here we are, almost got this done. And then you can see those little spirals were just the hot glue. The bad thing is it just kind of gums up the tool a little bit. So once we get that mostly taken off, now we make everything nice and flush. And got a little bit of edge work to work there. So just come back, hitting it with a round carbide tool, stopping the lathe again, make sure everything's nice and even, which it is. And now we're ready for the gouging part. Great thing about the marathoner projects that we did, they were very small. So it was ideal for the epoxy, because epoxy, depending on your brand and which one you use, I use East Coast resin, a 1-to-1 resin, and it's not really meant for deep pours. So you can really tell the kind of material that you're getting off and how well the epoxy is set up by the types of shavings that you get. So for a majority of these projects, we got really good shavings, really good material off. You can see here it's just spitting out of that bowl and that crevice. It's crevice, not crevasse. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, you get really good material taken off there, and now we're just going ahead and working the edges there. And I'm overall really happy with this. Really nice the way it turned out. Love this. Turned out really, really well. Just going back and forth, getting those shavings taken down. Being really careful with the edge work here. Once you hit a nice depth, you just want to be really careful on the lip of the bowl, because I've had instances where things do tend to explode if you get a little too deep and a little too thin there on the walls of the actual project. But fixing that up with the round carbide tool, which is what you want to use. And here we are, just a little bit closer shot there. You can see the material coming off, still getting really good shavings, doing some of the finer edge work. And that's one of the great things about doing these smaller projects, is that you get to really refine the detail in them, because you have to be so attention to detail oriented when you're doing these. So just getting a feel for it on the hands, kind of like the depth there, and then just going to come back a couple more passes, and then we'll be finished with it. And then we can start my favorite part, which is sanding. I hate sanding. If you haven't figured that out by now, I absolutely hate doing it. I wish I didn't have to, but that's where you make your money. So here we are. These are all the shavings from just this one little bowl, and you can see those shavings in the background are from all the other marathon projects that we did. Like I said, I have projects set up all the way into the first week into 2023. I don't know the order that these went in. I probably should have kept track of doing that better, but hey, this is part of the marathon. We did all of these projects. What you're watching today is all the projects we did within 2.5 weeks in March. So I did this in March. Like I said, you guys are probably watching this in early fall, late summer of 2022. Getting everything nice and even. Now we're going from 340 all the way up to 1500. Coming back, hitting it with the micro mesh, getting everything nice and even, sanded down, polishing it up. This is where you make your money. This is where you really get the actual color, difference there. And then we're just gonna come back, hit it with that wood wax, grease it up real nice and neat, and then just get this spun down onto the lathe. And then you'll really see how the color just kind of pops in the sun. Actually, I don't even think I put this in the sun, but you'll see it here in a little bit. Getting everything nice and polished, neat. I love how this turned out. Really fun project. Nothing too complicated, nothing too crazy, but overall, really happy with it. Hope you guys liked it. The marathon, hopefully I'm home by now. Actually, I don't know when I'm coming home due to work, but hope everybody's doing well out there. Hope everybody's having a great summer, great early fall. Like I said, don't know when I'm posting this, but don't forget to subscribe, like, all that fun stuff that every YouTuber says. And there is the final product. Looks really cool. And we're going to come back and do bigger projects, don't worry. So, like I said, I'll see you guys when I see you. Hope everybody's doing well out there. And, yeah. All right. I'll catch you guys in the next project. All right, guys. Peace. Alright, so project is done, and this little guy turned out relatively well. Not a whole lot of issues here. I wish I would have went a little deeper on the depth of it. Obviously we had problems with the resin in the beginning. I'm sure I went over that in the commentary, but you still get that cool orange, blue, red color. I don't even know what I'm gonna call this one. It's like a kaleidoscope type of bowl. You can see all of the smudges of my fingers no matter how well I polish it. But man, really good piece of epoxy here, really good color, fun color. Did some other projects like this earlier in the marathon. So you guys are probably watching this in probably the late summer, early fall. I don't know, depending on what I look like or what all the projects look like by the time I get done with this marathon. You guys might actually be watching this in the summer, early summer. But I leave in 7 days. Still got a lot of projects to get done, so we have enough projects for the whole year. So hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe, all that good stuff. The marathon continues. Really cool looking bowl here. And I'll see you guys in the next project. Peace.